me see whether it's okay, perfect. Already recording, right? I think so. Okay, let's get started. Um, Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Probably at morning, I guess, and afternoon. And thank you for joining today's DPX webinar. My name is Da, and I will be your host today. The webinar is about DPX 413 today, and I'm very excited to have Martin Fan, our field CTO of North American. Hi, Martin.
Hi, good morning,
How are you
Daw. Thanks for
doing?
having me.
Perfect. Thank you, Martin. And recently I heard a lot of DPX new release excitement, basically from our sales team, our R&D team, and partners, customers, and I think most happiest team is our support team, I guess. They're pretty excited about the new release. And uh, to be honest, I know they are about backup verification, about the recovery for like multi VMs and guard mode enhancement. Can we go next week slide? Okay. Yeah, so for the audience, if you want to know more about the DPX 413 for today's webinar, our plan is just 30 minutes, maximum, I guess, 45 minutes. So if you want to know more about DPX 413, you can go to the resource hub of catalogicsoftware.com and you will know the detail of 413. And if you want to know even more, like documentation front, you can go to our documentation site and you can see that link at the last couple pages of this presentation. So, okay, Martin, how about you just tell us like the majority of the DPX 413, what's the enhancement, what got fixed, and so on?
So really excited about today's presentation. So thanks for having me on here, Daw. And we're excited about some of the new features. I think the last time on your show, it was we were talking about some enhancements that we had made to guard mode and vStore, making some snapshots even more secure with the integration of our guard mode functionality. But in this latest release, we're going to talk about how we're making your backups that much stronger, that much more secure, and that much smarter, starting with our backup verification features, giving you the confidence that you'll need to know that your data has not just been backed up, but also recoverable when you need the most. We've introduced some improvements and efficiency enhancements for rapid recovery that can drastically reduce the time needed for recovery. And we've also introduced some guard mode enhancements as well. So building on this unique ransomware detection and alerting engine that we built a few years ago and have now propagated throughout the entire DPX product.
Yeah. Yeah, I still remember last time we are talking about the snapshot a lot, like snapshot explorer and so on. And but they are all based on we have backup. So I'm very curious about this backup verification. I really want to learn something from you today. And how about this? Let's make some example, like we just take some scenarios and to see how the new features can help. Let's say a healthcare provider, like backup their electronic like health records at night. But one day some ransomware attacked, and during the recovery, they discover that backup images corrupted, and the call cost a lot of time, hours of downtime, compliance, and they lost trust. Healthcare, they cannot lost trust, right? So probably the question is, how do the user or I know my backup are really usable while like a disaster strikes like ransomware?
Yeah, that's a great question. You never want to know or become aware that your backups aren't usable at the time disaster strikes, right? And we have built-in verification for all you DPX customers on the phone. We did have a built-in verification just checking the checksums of blocks in line as they're being transferred from vStore. We also had, verification from a just restore perspective using one of our many advanced recovery features, spinning up a snapshot as a VM or spinning up an instant access mount point to try and access your data. But you're not doing that every day. You're going to want something that is very easily viewable from the console, configurable from the job options, and that's what's going to actually provide you with that recoverability confidence. And in this release of 4.13, our backups are going to be automatically verified for you. We're going to show you that the backup is verified. In this case, it's going to be automatically scheduled along with a job definition and reportable as well. It's going to be the status is going to be reported back to the DPX console so that you're going to ensure that your teams are meeting that regulatory compliance to uh, appease the auditors. And I'm just going to jump into my DPX console here just to show you real quick how this is all going to look from a product perspective. But here's our web console. Now, you know that in previous releases, we had verification built into the job, right? This is where you configure it from a verification option. You can either configure it inline or deferred. And now what we've done is we've incorporated some verification features into the actual job definition itself. So as you're creating your backup job, so I'll go under the new backup job here, you're going to notice a new section on advanced options here. And these are just backup verification options that we can drill down into and select to automatically verify those snapshots that are taken and stored on vStore. So when you jump to your job monitor at this point and start running some backup jobs with this verification feature enabled, what you'll see here is a check mark stating that the verification has completed.
That's great. That's very intuitive, GUI. I really like it. I think I can do that next time if I operate DPX. All right, that's pretty good. And if we can verify the backups, that's pretty cool. But I got another question. We always talk about God mode, right? We invented God mode, like I don't remember 3 years ago, right?
Yep, that's about
Yeah,
sounds about
okay.
right.
Okay.
We've
Yeah,
been working on
as
the
a,
engine for a while now, so it's been, just continuing to enhance its capabilities and features.
yeah, great. Yeah, I remember 3 years ago, I still like a friend of Ryan, not joined the company yet, but
Mhm.
I'm already in backup industry, and I think this is really cool. Like a back, you can do the detection, ransomware detection, like abnormal like operation detection. That's pretty cool. At that time, no one did that, and then recently we see most of our competitors they start to like scan the ransomware. But I got a question about currently like we have this backup verification, but how can we like ensure our backup data is not like got ransomware corrupted? Let's say maybe we have a financial service firm and they want to restore virtual machine after attack, maybe ransomware, but the backup itself already infected with some ransomware. And with after hours of recovery and then it infect again, that's pretty uh, sad story for the backup domain, right? And the question would be, what if the backups themselves are already compromised by ransomware? How can we do that for now for the latest DPX?
Yeah, great question. And I think for the benefit of everyone on the phone, if you're not familiar with our guard mode agent, this is something that Dodd mentioned we've been working on for the past several years. So we've gone through, we first had to build the detection engine, making sure that we had scan features enabled on the client, and we've moved those scan features to vStore, our backup destination where you could scan backups. And now we've reached a point where we can have this holistically across the entire enterprise, reporting events, ensuring that users are not compromised by ransomware without having to go through, hey, do I scan on guard mode? Do I scan on my client? We're bringing that story all together through our ransomware options and scanning and reporting capabilities that are now going to be native within the DPX GUI. And what it's going to do is it's going to take that engine that we had been developing over the past several years, incorporate that into the DPX workflow to mount snapshots and ensure that they are free from ransomware on on the backup job and vStore servers itself. So let me jump to my screen here, take you through some history
Oh, so
from.
sorry, Martin. Before you show the gamma scan, we got a question, and the question is still about the backup verification, and our audience asks, it's a option, the backup verification option for every type of backup, like a virtual machine and a file and a block.
It is, yes. So you're going to
Okay,
have a backup verification available for our what we call advanced recovery backups, which consist of the block level agentless and agentless backups, including Hyper-V and VMware.
perfect. Thank you. And to all the audience, you can type your questions or messages in the chat box. It's open for everyone, and we can see that. And if you have any question, just leave it there. All right, move on,
Yep.
Martin.
So
Thank you.
here's I'm just taking you into vStore right now. So this is my backup destination, our software-defined storage that's going to allow you to store your backups and take snapshots of your backups. And remember here we had, automatic scans that are occurring. I think this was introduced in our last release, 4.12, where you can select to automatically scan, and which you'd see our snapshots here that are listed from a guard mode scan perspective, indicating that the snapshot has been scanned by guard mode and that there are suspicious files being found, and you can download the results, those scan results. But now through the job definition, you're going to be able to determine or assign a guard mode scan to happen automatically within your backup job. So depending on the type of backup, so if you're running an agentless VMware backup, or a block-based backup, you're going to see backup verification options that when you automatically enable scan with guard mode, this is going to mount up the snapshot, just as we would with doing like an instant virtualization or an instant access, and scan that virtual disk or that physical disk that you took using an agent with our guard mode engine. And from a job monitor perspective, we're going to be able to see that the status or results of that guard mode scan. And let me just filter here for some previous job runs that I took during the day. But it's going to show up like this, where you're going to see a green check mark for verification, a red virus here showing suspicious files found, and you're going to be able to drill down into that job log. I'll just want to note some enhancements that appear within the log itself, but a lot cleaner look, showing you just the high level information that you want to see. The job log is collapsed here, but you can kind of go in and look at the job log. But it's showing the details in these top three states, right? Your instant details, where your backup job has been performed, but then also the verification details, if we're able to access the underlying disk, and the guard mode scans, right? If there are any suspicious files that have been found, or if it completed successfully. And this is all based off of the guard mode engine. You can download the results here. You can email them to your auditors. Here I'm just opening up the results, checking out my guard mode scan, showing that, okay, I have a file signature extension .ms, and these are configurable with guard mode. That threw up an error here, and 154 suspicious files, let's say, were found, right? So at this point, my guard mode agent notified me that, hey, I don't like these files out here. I'm going to tell you that, hey, the snapshot is potentially compromised by by ransomware. So it's using the same algorithms and engines that the guard mode agent had used from a backup job perspective, but showing you in detail, kind of this is the health of my backup environment.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, it's it's so sad if someone find their backup got so many suspicious files, right? Um, yeah, I do remember that. Well, I was I engineer. I support some of previous my served company, and I help the customer to do backups. But as far as I know, very few customers, users, they do recovery testing or like exam, right? So that's pretty takes a lot of time. And you need to prepare, and you need to somehow you need to stop or pause your production. That's pretty bad. And now we have backup verification. We have the guard mode backup scan. At least we can verify the backup. At least we can check the backup data they corrupted by kind of like a ransomware or some suspicious files. That's pretty good and save a lot of time and give confidence to users, right? Um, all right, let's move on. Let's move on to the next topic. And I know there are still a lot of VMware users out there, although uh, uh, if you know that we have another product named the Cloud Casa, which supports like KubeVirt, like Red Hat or SUSE virtualization, and a lot of VMware users go to that area, go to Kubernetes, go to containerized VMs, but still a lot of VMware users there. And as far as I know, we still have a lot of VMware users use DPX to backup VMs. So let's say um, it's a typical situation like some enterprise, they want to recover multiple VMs application. For example, I don't know, maybe ERP, a database, middleware in the same time. And across different data center nowadays is very popular. And um, every VM need a different restore point, maybe different IP remapped to new network. And the credentials must be handled secretly without automation. This could take like hours, I don't know, maybe even days to do, and it carries very high risk, to be honest. So we called it last time we have this update on orchestrated data disaster recovery for VMware. So how actually we have the updated version of how we can orchestrate a smooth VMware recover across network, and we can minimize the downtime.
Yeah, we've greatly improved that story as well too, Da. I think in the last release, when I was talking to you on 4.12 new releases, we had just introduced a multi-VM restore where instead of restoring one individual VM at the same time, or one at a time, from a snapshot, we introduced a capability where we were able to spin up multiple VMs at the same time. But there were limitations in that, with regards to which version of the VM we could spin up. It was the latest version that we can spin up. So we were assuming all versions contain the same or consistent across the different versions. There was also some manual steps that would need to be performed after the VMs were brought online. So, for example, we were able to bind it to a specific isolated network, but if we want to re-IP the machine or do any changes within the VM itself, it would need to be done after the restore. So what we've done is we've created an orchestrated disaster recovery workflow for VMware. And this is going to allow you to restore a VM, not just the last VM, but a VM in a particular point in time. So you'll be able to select the point in time. You'll be able to not only define which network you want it to map to, but re-IP the VM using a login that you can store. It's stored within our secure credential store to allow you to log into that VM and allow us to perform operations within the VM, such as re-IPing it so that it comes up in the right environment. And that's just going to reduce manual steps and human error in the long run, so that when all is said and done, if you want to test your recovery, again, without assuming any additional storage space, because with instant virtualization, we're able to spin up VMs without taking any additional storage space, allowing our vStore server to become the primary storage device, which is hosting the snapshots. So how this is done is, let me just jump to my browser window here, is in our job manager here. What you're going to be able to do is when you define a new restore job, is we have that multi-VM restore option that we had in 4.12, or we introduced in 4.12. But as you add virtual machines here, let's say I want to create or spin up these 3 virtual machines, we have now a selection for the point in time that we want to recover from. So you can select an individual point in time that you can recover your virtual machines from, build up a workflow where you can order how you want these VMs to come up. Let's say I need to bring up my most critical servers or my database servers beforehand from this point in time, and bring up these other servers. Later on, I can select the destination where I want to restore it back to. And this is going to, so let me just build out this job definition here where I select some space if I want, or host and storage if I want to do a rapid return to production, where we actually storage remotion the data copy from our vStore over. But once you define all this, you can proceed to the networking settings, where this is where we've introduced the credential store and IP. So in the past, we were able to select the network and bind machines to a network, but we need to go further, right? I wanted to move it to an entirely different network, let's say, but at the same time, I want to re-IP it. So I can define mapping rules here, and this is going to allow me to re-IP the machine within the VM by just adding a set of credentials. So you create a set of credentials here. Let's say you have a local service account that can log into each VM, and you assign that credentialed set to our DPX agent. And now we can add rules where if you have a representation address, let's say I want to change all my static IP addresses from 172.20.20.x, or 172.20.50.0. I can now represent that rule as, okay, change that source to 192.168 subnet as an example. So I can change all my static IP addresses, keeping the last octet as my wildcard here, and then just re-IPing from the source 172.20.50 network to a 192.168.50 network. And that's how we can take advantage of this re-IP and credentialed store to create a single restore job that, let's say, instantly virtualizes a subset of my most critical virtual machines at a disaster recovery site without having to consume any additional storage.
Cool. Uh, yeah, I believe you showed it very uh, well. So we got a lot of questions now, Martin. One is,
Yep.
can you set a tag or custom attribute in the VMs to define the order they should start up in like a multi-VM restore?
Can we set up it's tags for VMs?
Yeah, or
I'll,
customer.
yeah, I don't believe that has been that is on our roadmap. I know that we've had a lot of folks asking us about tagging or taking advantage of VMs that have tags on them. I don't know if that has been introduced yet within the product, but we can double check for you.
Perfect. And another question about the Gamo scan. Where can I find the result of Gamo scanning in job log, or will I
Yeah,
be
it's
if I?
actually, yeah, that's a great question. So it was actually in the guard mode scan log. So there are different ways in which you can get a listing of your guard mode scans. You can go directly to vStore. You can download the scan results here, or within your master server. When we had run that guard mode job, so if I jump back to my job manager here, and let me just filter for some previous jobs where actually had a guard mode scan. Here I see suspicious files found. So normally you would go in and you take a look at your job definition, but up here is the guard mode scan results. So subdivided into these three sections, you can download them directly from the download scan results here, and this will provide you with a CSV file that you can use to take a look at all the violations that occurred.
Great. Yeah. Okay. Today we have a lot of questions today, and um, we can move on, right?
Yep.
All right. Okay. Yeah, I think these are the three, as far as I know, most important updates in DPX 4.13. I know there are very long lists out there, and just want to let everyone know that you can go to the documentation site, get the release notes. You'll be surprised. That's very long. So it's better to just update to DPX to the latest version. That's very helpful. And I just want to recap a little bit on what I learned, Martin. So one is backup verification, which gives you confidence that your backups are always usable. One is guard mode backup scan, which ensure only the clean data is restored, keep the ransomware out, and allows you just show this orchestrated VMware DR, which enable rapid and controlled recovery across complex environment, different environments, basically. So what else we have this in for 13? Can you take a brief
Yeah.
introduction to the, yeah, I
Unfortunately, we
know,
weren't able to include all this good
yeah.
stuff into our webinar here, but you can always check out our our what's new within DPX, what's new within vStore sections. I think we pretty much covered the verification, guard mode scans, multi VM restores, and re-IP settings. Just some new things of note here that you can check out. Is S3 backups that we had introduced. It was kind of a hidden feature. Most people didn't use it or know about it in 4.12. But if you did use it, you realize that you weren't able to, edit your backup or restore job definitions. Now we've introduced editing into that. We have some new enterprise settings that are going to be available under the Systems tab, again, allowing you to manage your master server or your enterprise directly through the UI. And the Settings tab is up here, by the way. We can go through that. We have some event notifications as well, host name groups feature, which is very useful in terms of being able to organize your notifications into host name groups. So if you're, let's say, a development organization, and I think I should show this actually. So I'll just jump into events here. We can go into notifications. There's a new section here called host groups. You can add a host group here. Call it development, or I already have one called development, so we'll call it my finance group, and we can associate to that group some servers from which we can get events from. And now as your events come through in the event list, it's showing the IP list, but you can create notification settings and filters that are going to just report within that group. So if I add a events list here and go into, where's my target? So let me just go back into the notification settings. I'm going to build out a rule set where I create a list of email addresses that I want to send email to, but also select the host name or host group that I want this event to send from, and let's create a notification rule where we can do that. I'll send all my ransomware detection messages to my that are interested in those servers or that subset of servers from the development group to that target email, and that's how I can go about doing that. The settings page that we had talked about. So these are just some additional settings. We've enabled email defaults configured directly from here, user authentication settings, etc. So you can check this out as well. Jump back here and make sure I'm not missing anything. Oh, reporting has been improved as well. So there's our reports that are becoming let's say more configurable, more usable. You're able to configure date ranges and additional criteria that you would like to report on. From a vStore perspective, and I know you're going to kill me because we're running out of time here, Duh. We're going
No, no,
just
I'm fine.
go to the vStore, what's new as well. We have some really cool features introduced in vStore as well, right? The software-defined storage appliance that we use as a target for backup is really growing and becoming its own, standalone appliance potentially, where we have built-in guard mode. We have this remote disaster recovery option where you're going to be able to restore from a replicate or secondary vStore. In the past, you'd have to reverse replication. It's kind of a kludgy operation, but if you deploy a new vStore, what you're going to see is some new options here for configuring your vStore. So I'll just log in here as this is a new vStore that I've deployed, and let's see if it lets me in. So yeah, I keep forgetting my password, but this is a brand new vStore that we deployed here. So it took the default password. And what you'll see here are some new options that will allow us to initialize our vStore application. So if you lost your primary vStore, but you still had a secondary vStore, replication vStore to recover from, we could recover from that secondary vStore, but rebuilding your primary vStore was pretty much a very cumbersome task. And now you'll see some new options here that will allow us to recover the primary vStore from another vStore while copying the initial configuration so that no one's the wiser. We can continue to run incremental backups directly to that primary vStore rebuilt from a secondary vStore. So that's a great option that we have from vStore. We have a background task view. So as you go through replications and any task that vStore is doing, like guard mode scans, replications, this is going to be showing up in a task view, letting you know that vStore is currently active. So that's it's a new screen that you have there. We're taking advantage of some of the new capabilities of the ZFS file system, in this case, fast deduplication table support, where we're able to create or utilize fast deduplication tables for newly created storage pools. And you can set this deduplication table at the time when you're creating your storage pool. Some performance improvements with the way in which we can mount and verify snapshots. So improved disk image mounting, where instead of, so we refactored and reworked this for additional faster and more efficient, resource efficient performance when you mount a volume or a snapshot. It's not building a new VM, take advantage of some resources and components that have already been built while running granular file or guard mode scans. Multi-factor support enhancements, right? So this is going to be great for all of those folks that are forcing or want to force their users to use MFA when logging into these to vStore. And in this case, this came up as a requirement for, I believe, an MSP that was using vStore as a storage-based destination. They were doing some type of charge direct, but they want to secure their vStore even further. And it was pretty much left up to the users as to define whether or not they want to enable multi-factor authentication. In this case, we've enabled a feature to enforce multi-factor authentication for all users. And at that point, when it's enabled, when a user first tries to log in, they're going to get an email saying, hey, with your administrator has enabled you for multi-factor authentication, and to comply with that email or not log in. And then last but not least is guard mode scan improvements, right? So this is just a lot of the backend stuff that just we've been doing to make your life easier, make DPX more efficient. We've introduced this incremental scan support for guard mode, meaning when you scan a snapshot, we're not scanning the entire thing any longer, which could take several hours if we were scanning a larger file system. We're now able to just scan just the changes that have occurred on vStore. And what that looks like is from a storage perspective, if you drill down into the snapshots that we scanned here, you can take a look at the guard mode scan history for these snapshots and see that instead of doing a full base scan since our initial backup, we can do an incremental where we're just scanning a subset of files that landed on the snapshot versus the full, which, our full scan scope showing you all the suspicious files being found there. So a lot of great improvements, as you said, Da, contained within DPX and vStore. We hope that you download version 4.13. It's out on our website right now. You can download the ISO and updates as well. If you're not already on our Linux appliance, we do offer a free service to help you get there. Just making sure that you're able to take advantage of all these great new features and capabilities that we're introducing into DPX.
Yeah, I'm not sure everyone in the room they installed vStore because pretty many people joined today. So maybe you are not using vStore today. Also, you need to know it's license free. You don't need to pay anything for vStore as you already have DPX. And just I heard from our support team and the develop team that some of our users they previously used tape and they try to migrate their backup data into the vStore. That's pretty good. And I even heard that some of our users they are considering replace their domain from EMC. So this is a pretty cool and it's get better and better recently vStore, right, Martin?
Yeah, absolutely. Developers have been working very hard. We're
Mhm.
very proud of this release. So be sure to check it out.
Yeah, and I just want to let you know that every feature, every enhancement we mentioned today, there are no add-on, no additional license, just upgrade and you can get it.
That's correct. Yes.
Um, yeah. All right, I guess pretty much today, and thank you everyone. Thank you, Martin, for joining. And after the webinar, you will probably got surprised by a pop-up window from your browser and a survey. Uh, we want to make more and better DPX webinars, basically. I believe the the vStore part, we can have another webinar. If you have any interesting on that, if you want to learn something more from DPX, just leave a message on that survey and we can share with you more information and knowledge of DPX. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Martin.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Todd.
Yeah. Nice day. Bye-bye.